Can I be real with you for just a moment? There is a feeling that almost no one ever talks about. It lives quietly inside the chest of people who believe, people who pray, people who show up for God even when life is hard. It is the feeling of doing everything right and still watching your world fall apart. Piece by piece, like something you built with your own hands, is quietly coming undone. You prayed, you believed, you were faithful, and still, silence. Not a gentle silence, a deep, aching silence that slowly started making you ask the one question you were almost too afraid to say out loud. God, why will not you answer me? Did I do something wrong? Did you change your mind about me? If you have ever felt that, stop what you are doing, stop scrolling, because this video was not found by you. You were guided to it. And what I am about to share with you in the next few minutes is something that most churches will never say from the pulpit. Something your closest friends probably cannot explain. Something that, once you understand it, will completely change the way you see every single painful season of your life. Here is the truth most people never get to hear. God does not break the people He has forgotten. He breaks the people He has chosen. Let that land for a second. The breaking is not a punishment. The breaking is a preparation. And today, I am going to walk you through 7 stages of a dark night that nobody warned you about. Stay with me all the way to the 7th stage, because that is where everything finally makes sense. I promise you, it is worth it. Before we begin, I want to say this one thing. If you are here today, if something inside you stirred when you heard those words, that is not a coincidence. That is God saying, I see you. Keep going. So stay. All the way to the end. Let me paint a picture for you. You wake up every morning, and the first thing you do is pray. Not because someone told you to, because you need to. You pour out your heart. You ask, you wait. You go through the whole day. Then you come back the next morning and do it again. And again, for weeks, for months, maybe for years. And heaven stays quiet. Not a peaceful quiet. A heavy, pressing quiet. The kind that starts to make a terrifying thought grow slowly in the back of your mind. Maybe God stopped listening. Maybe I am not as chosen as I thought. Maybe the silence means something is wrong with me. I need you to hear this right now clearly. From the bottom of my heart, that thought is not the truth. That thought is a test. Let me show you what the silence of God actually looks like through the life of a man named David. David was chosen by God before he ever wore a crown. The prophet Samuel walked into his family's home, looked past every older and stronger brother, and anointed the youngest one, a shepherd boy. No title, no army, no reputation. Just a kid who talked to God in the fields while watching sheep. And God said, "This is the one." And then, what happened to the man God personally chose? He spent years running for his life, hiding in caves, sleeping in the wilderness with enemies closing in from every direction. Betrayed by people he loved, watching everything he was promised seemingly disappear, and God said nothing. No thunder, no angel, no voice from above. Just one man, alone in the dark, holding onto a promise that seemed impossible to believe anymore. And David cried out exactly what you have been feeling inside. In Psalm 22, verse 2, he wrote, "I cry out by day, but you do not answer, and by night, but I find no rest." That is not a man who lost his faith. That is a man who stayed faithful through the silence. And because he stayed, he became the greatest king his nation ever knew. Here is the shock line I want you to carry with you today. The silence of God is not the absence of God. It is the sound of Him building something in you that noise would destroy. A seed does not grow in the light. A seed grows underground, in total darkness, where no one can see it and no one can rush it. The darkness is not where growth ends. The darkness is where growth begins. And in Isaiah 40, verse 31, God made this promise. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. He did not promise the fastest answer. He promised the strongest one. So, let me ask you something personal. And I want you to be honest with yourself right now. Have you been pulling back from God because the silence felt like He was not interested in you? Or have you been staying, even when it hurts, even when you cannot feel anything at all, because something deep inside you still believes He is there? If you are still believing, you are closer to the breakthrough than you know. Right now, as you watch this, there are thousands of people in the same quiet season as you, the same waiting, the same wondering. You are not alone in this, not for one single second. So here is what I want to ask. If this message is speaking to something real in your life today, hit the like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it tells me that this is reaching the right person. And leave a comment below. Just write the word waiting if you are in the silence right now. I read every single one. If you want to keep walking through all 7 stages together, subscribe and turn on the bell. This community is for people exactly like you. You were made for more than this silence. And the waiting season you are in right now is not the end of your story. It is only the very first chapter. But the silence is only the beginning of what God does, because after the silence comes something harder, something that shakes most people to their very foundation. Because it is not just quiet anymore, it starts to take things away, everything you built your life around. And that is exactly what the next stage is about. I want you to think carefully about the last season of your life. Maybe a job you spent years building towards suddenly ended. Maybe a relationship that felt like your safe place quietly fell apart. Maybe your health shifted in ways you did not expect. Maybe your finances, your close friendships, your sense of direction, your confidence in who you are, everything started coming undone at the same time. Not one thing, all of it. At once. And you looked up and asked the question that broke your heart a little just to think, what did I do wrong? Here is the answer that nobody gave you. And I need you to receive this with your whole heart. You did not do anything wrong. God is not punishing you. He is repositioning you. And the difference between those two things is so enormous that once you truly see it, it changes everything. Here is the shock line for this stage. God does not strip you to break you down. He strips you because He cannot build something eternal on a foundation that you built yourself. Think about a master sculptor standing before a raw block of stone. He does not begin with the finished work already there. He begins with something rough, unformed, and heavy. And the only way the sculpture is revealed is through removal piece by piece, strike by strike. Every blow of the chisel looks like damage from the outside. Every single strike looks like destruction. But the sculptor is not destroying the stone. He is uncovering the image that was always hidden inside of it. You are not being destroyed. You are being uncovered. Now I want to say something carefully, because this matters a great deal. Not every difficult season is a divine stripping. Life has hard moments that are simply part of being human. But when the losses arrive all at once, when they come in ways that make no logical sense at all, when they leave behind not just emptiness, but a strange and sacred stillness that you cannot quite explain, that is something different. That is not random. That is God clearing space for what He is building. So the real question to sit with is not, why is this happening to me? The real question is, what was I building my entire identity around that God is now gently freeing me from? Was it the career title, the relationship that felt like your whole identity, the approval of people whose opinions you placed higher than the voice of God? Your own carefully laid plans that you had decided were the only right way for your life to go. Here is what I have found to be true, and I say this with all the gentleness I have. The things God asks you to let go of from your hands are almost always the things you had been holding onto instead of holding onto Him. And there is something quietly beautiful hiding inside this season that most people miss entirely, because they are so focused on what has been taken that they cannot yet see what is being built in the space left behind. That is what the next stage reveals, and I want you to stay close. Because what happens inside the stripping, the thing God is doing in the dark that you cannot see yet, is the part that is going to take your breath away. Can I be honest with you about something most people are too ashamed to say out loud? There comes a moment in the life of every chosen person when the silence we talked about and the stripping we just walked through, they combine into something so heavy that it stops feeling like a test and starts feeling like the end. This is the dark night of the soul, and it is unlike anything you have ever felt before. It is not just that God feels quiet anymore. In this stage, you feel completely alone. You look in the mirror, and you do not recognize the person looking back at you. You sit in church, and the words that used to light you up now feel like they are meant for someone else. You open your Bible and the pages feel empty. You try to pray and the words will not come because you do not even know what to ask for anymore. And the scariest thought starts to whisper, maybe I never really knew God at all. If you have felt that, I want to stop right here and speak directly to your heart. You are not losing your faith. Your faith is being forged. There is a profound difference between those two things, and everything depends on understanding which one is actually happening to you right now. Here is the shock line for this stage. Write this one down. The enemy only attacks the people who are a genuine threat to his plans. If you are going through the darkest fight of your life, that is not a sign you are losing. That is a sign you matter. Now let me show you something that completely changed the way I see this season. Because the people you read about in the Bible who God used most powerfully, they all went through exactly what you are describing right now. Job was one of the most righteous men who ever lived, and he sat in the ash heap of everything he had lost and cried out in Job 3 verse 3, "May the day of my birth perish, and the night that said, a boy is conceived." He questioned everything. He argued with God directly. He did not have clean, polished prayers. He had raw, desperate ones, and God called him His servant. Elijah called down fire from heaven. He stood alone against hundreds of false prophets and won. And then he sat under a tree in total exhaustion and asked God to let him go. Not because he was weak, because he was deeply human, and God did not judge him for it. God sent an angel to give him food and rest. These were not people with little faith. These were the chosen ones, going through the darkest night and staying anyway. Now here is something important I need you to hear. When this dark night arrives, every part of you will want to escape it. You will want to fill every quiet moment with noise. Your phone, your work, other people, anything to avoid sitting alone with the feeling inside. I understand that. I truly do. But what if the feeling you are running from is actually the doorway you are meant to walk through? Psalm 46 verse 10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Not be productive, not be busy. Be still, because the light you are searching for in all the outside noise is already inside you. It is just waiting for the quiet to let it be found. Stay in the night long enough, and you will discover something extraordinary is beginning to grow in the dark. And that brings us to something I want you to see clearly, because most people miss it entirely. There is a fact about butterflies that most people learn as children but never truly think about as adults. When a caterpillar enters the cocoon, it does not simply rest and grow wings. Scientists have discovered that inside that cocoon, the caterpillar's body completely dissolves. It becomes liquid. Everything it was before breaks down to almost nothing. And from that liquid, an entirely new creature is formed. If you cut the cocoon open before the process is finished, the butterfly will not survive. The dissolving is not optional. It is the process. What you are going through right now is the cocoon. And God is not standing at a distance watching you dissolve. He is the one doing the forming. Here is the shock line for this stage. God is not waiting for the dark season to end before he starts working. The dark season is exactly where he does his best work. Let me walk you through 4 things that God is actively building inside you right now. In this moment, even if you feel absolutely nothing happening. The first thing he is building is true humility, not the kind you learn from a book or practice in a class. The kind that gets burned into your bones through genuine hardship. This is the humility that makes you safe to carry great things. Because a person who has never been brought low cannot be trusted with high places without it consuming them. The second thing he is building is compassion that cannot be taught. There are people in your future who are going to be sitting in the exact darkness you are sitting in right now. And when they tell you how they feel, you will not give them a rehearsed answer. You will look at them and say, with your whole heart, I know. That knowing comes from here, from this season, from right now. The third thing is strength that cannot be broken. A palm tree survives storms, not because it is rigid, but because its roots go deeper than the storm's reach. Every hard season you have endured has not weakened your roots. It has driven them further down. You are more rooted right now than you have ever been, even if you cannot feel it. And the fourth thing he is building is complete clarity about your purpose. When everything false has been taken, what remains is what is real. The season you are in right now is removing every distraction, every false identity, every voice that was never yours to begin with. What is left after the removing is the truest version of who you were always meant to be. Romans 8, verse 28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." All things, not the comfortable things, not just the answered prayers. All things here is what I want you to do right now. Think back to the hardest season you have ever been through before this one. The one you thought you would not survive. Are you able to see now what it built in you? What it gave you that nothing easy ever could have? That is the same thing happening right now. Bigger, deeper, more. But I must be honest with you about one more thing. Because there is a critical moment ahead that many chosen people never make it past. And I do not want that to be you. Which is exactly why what comes next is the most important stage of all. After everything we have walked through together, after the silence and the stripping, and the dark night and the invisible work God has been doing inside you, we arrive at the moment that determines everything. This is the test. The real one. And here is what makes it so hard. It is not a test of your endurance. You have already proven you can endure. It is not a test of your faith. You are still here. It is a test of one specific thing, and most people never see it coming clearly enough to prepare. Here is the shock line. The one that changes everything. God is not testing whether you can hold on. He is testing whether you can let go. Think about Abraham. This was a man who waited decades for the one promise God had given him, a son. And when that son finally arrived, when everything Abraham had waited for was finally standing in front of him, God said something that must have stopped Abraham's heart completely. Take him to the mountain. And what did Abraham do? He got up early in the morning. He did not delay. He did not negotiate. He did not demand an explanation. He walked toward the hardest thing God had ever asked him to do, because he had decided something deep in his heart, long before that morning. He trusted God more than he trusted his own understanding. God never wanted Isaac. He wanted Abraham's heart to be fully free to follow wherever he led. Now let me ask you this gently. What is your Isaac right now? For some people, it is the need to control the outcome, to know exactly how everything is going to unfold before they take one more step forward. For others, it is the fear of what people will think. If they let go of the version of themselves they have worked so hard to build, who will they be? And for some, it is the insistence on God following their timeline. The belief that if something good has not happened by a certain point, it simply will not happen at all. Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6 say, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." With all your heart. Not some of it, all of it. Surrendering to God is the bravest thing a human being can do, because it says out loud, "From the deepest place inside you, I believe you see further than I can see. I believe your plan is better than mine, and I choose you over my own comfort, my own timeline, my own version of how this should go." The moment you surrender from the heart, not just the lips, is the moment everything shifts. And what follows that surrender is something so good, so unexpected, so far beyond what you asked for, that no human words can fully prepare you for it. That is exactly what we will step into together in the next stage. And I promise you, this is the part you have been waiting for. Do you remember who you were before all of this began? The one who prayed to get what they wanted, the one who feared rejection, the one who needed others to confirm their own worth. That person needed this season not as something to endure, as something to pass through and be completely changed by. Because the person walking out of this dark night is not the same person who walked in. They pray differently now, not to receive. To listen, rejection no longer shakes them because they have learned it is simply redirection, and they do not need to prove themselves to anyone anymore. They already know who they are. Here is the shock line for this stage. Here is the shock line for this stage. You are not being consumed, you are being refined. Isaiah 43, verse 2 says, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze through." Not around. He walks through every single season with you. And right now, as you watch this, there are thousands of people in this same place. People who have been through their own dark nights and are standing on the other side of it, changed in ways they never expected. You are not alone in this. You never were. The rebirth is real. The new version of you is already forming. But the rebirth is not your final destination. It is the beginning of what you were always created for. And that is exactly where we are going right now. Everything we have walked through together, every honest stage, every quiet moment of recognition, it was all pointing to this one truth. God did not prepare you through the fire so you could simply feel better about your own life. He prepared you because there are people out there who will only be reached by someone who has walked exactly where you have walked. Here is the shock line, the one this entire video was building toward. You cannot lead someone out of a place you have never been brave enough to enter yourself. The loneliness you survived, the silent nights when words would not come, the moment you almost gave up and somehow stayed. Every single one of those moments is now a key, and somewhere out there, there is a door that only your key can open. 2 Corinthians 1 verse 4 says, "He comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God." Your story is not finished. Your story is the message. The dawn does not arrive slowly. It arrives suddenly, and when it comes, you will look back at every stage of this journey, every silent night, everything that was taken, every moment in the dark, and you will understand with complete clarity why every single moment was necessary. Every single one. If this video reached something real inside you today, write the word broken in the comments right now. No explanation needed. Just let me know you were here and you heard this. Because you are not alone in this journey. Not for one single second. If this message meant something to you, please share it with someone who needs it right now. Hit the like button so this reaches more people who are in their own dark night tonight. And subscribe and turn on the bell, because the next video will show you exactly what happens when the chosen one steps fully into their calling. That is a story you do not want to miss. You were chosen before you were formed. The fire was always part of the plan, and the best of your story is still ahead.